So, good evening, everyone. My name is Deepak Jain. I am country head for American Academy of Financial Management, India. So, before I tell about American Academy of Financial Management, I think it's apt that this session is all about wealth management. I talk a little bit about wealth management. So, I'll try to explain you what is actually wealth management. Wealth management is a broad topic that is often used to describe investment in financial sectors areas such as preferred banking, private banking, independent financial advisory, family offices, insurance brokers, stock brokers, etc. But actually, what is wealth management? Is it private banking? Is it financial planning? Is it bank assurance? Is it retail financial services? Is it financial services supermarket? If I put all financial products under one roof, do I become a wealth manager? Actually, the definition of wealth management and as wealth management is today, it has evolved over times and over markets. And if you really want to understand wealth management, you need to understand something which is called as the wealth management formula. This formula tells you actually what is wealth management. And according to this formula, when you do three things for your clients, then only you are doing wealth management. The number one thing which you need to do to be qualified as a wealth manager is you need to do investment consulting. Second is advanced planning. And third is relationship management. When you do all three of them, investment consulting, advanced planning, and relationship management, then only you are doing wealth management. So let me explain in brief all three of them one by one. What is investment consulting? Investment consulting is actually helping your clients to invest. So you as a wealth manager help your clients to invest. You tell them where to invest, when to invest, how much to invest, when to move out of an investment, how to get the asset allocation right, how to create a portfolio, how to maintain a portfolio, how to review and revise a portfolio, how to achieve their financial goals, and all of this is part of investment consulting. This is what most wealth managers today do. Where it differs from what most wealth managers do today in India is at the advanced planning stage of wealth management. In the advanced planning stage of wealth management, I as a wealth manager help my client in achieving three very important objectives about their wealth. Number one, I help them in wealth enhancement. Number two, I help them in wealth protection. And number three, I help them in wealth transfer. Right? So I help my client in enhancing their wealth, increasing their wealth, accumulating the wealth. I help my client in preserving this wealth, safeguarding this wealth. And I also help my client in transferring this wealth to the next generation, which we call estate planning. Unless you do all three of them, you are actually not working as a wealth manager. You are actually not working as a wealth manager, right? So to be qualified as a wealth manager, it is very important that you start advising your clients on all three aspects of wealth: enhancement, protection, and transfer. Out of this, enhancement is what most advisors do. Protection and transfer, they are not very concerned, or they usually do not give so much advice. But protection and transfer, if they are not more important than enhancement, are as important as enhancement of wealth. Now let me give you some example of protection and transfer. So you have a client whose net worth is suppose 5 crore rupees. Now first objective of this client could be how to convert this 5 crore rupees wealth into 10 crores. So he's more concerned about enhancement of wealth. You have another client whose net worth is say 85 crore rupees. Now the first objective of this client now most probably would be how to preserve and safeguard this wealth. So the objective of wealth has changed according to the type of person a person is or the amount of wealth a person has. So unless you are giving protection and transfer advice along with the enhancement advice, you are not working as a wealth manager, right? So this is where it differentiates from your investment consultants. This is where it differentiates from your financial planners. As a wealth manager, I give holistic advice covering all three aspects of wealth management. Some of my clients also ask me to do charitable giving or philanthropic planning. That's another aspect of wealth management. And the third thing which the wealth manager does is relationship management. So I as a client is I as an advisor help my clients or create excellent relationships with my client. So that's client relationship management. So one is CRM, that's called client relationship management, which is having good relations with your client, maintaining those relations, uh, converting those relations into business and all those stuff. And the second is ENRM. So what is this ENRM? ENRM stands for Expert Network Relationship Management. So as a wealth manager, I cannot be specialist of every field, right? I can't be a good lawyer. I can't be a good chartered accountant. I can't be a good travel agent. I can't be a good real estate agent. So what I do as a wealth manager is I create a group of people around me who are specialists in their fields and maintain very good relations with them. And whenever my client has any requirements of the services of these people, I either refer the client to them or refer the problem to them and create the client solutions. If I start doing this, I become one-stop shop for my client and the relationship becomes more strong. So as a wealth manager, I do three things for my client, then only I am doing wealth management: investment consulting, advanced planning and relationship management. In advanced planning, I help my client in wealth enhancement, wealth protection and transfer. I also help them in philanthropic planning, and I am basically into the business of relations. So I do client relationship management and expert network relationship management. So that is wealth management, right? So that was all about wealth management from my side.
मेरी बात सुनो, मैं कैमरे में नहीं जाऊंगा, नहीं बना यार बराबर।
Yeah. So
सेकंड क्वेश्चन क्या है यार, जल्दी बोलो, क्वेश्चन नहीं है मेरे पास। Okay, so I think, sir, there is a technical issues which regarding the host. Sir, are you able to hear me?
yeah, I am able to hear you. You can continue, Aman.
Perfect. Thank you. So, sir, thanks for the wonderful introduction about the AFM and wealth management, and it was really enlightened one. Sir, I would like to ask you the second question, with what viewer are trying to ask you. What are the different courses offered by AFM? If you can just guide us into that way.
Okay, I'll do that. See, the number one course which AFM is called Chartered Wealth Manager. Right? It's a wealth management designation. It's the highest wealth management designation in the world. We have more than 3 lakh certificates in 151 countries who are actually holding this designation of Chartered Wealth Manager. And the benefits of doing this designation is multifold. One, you get international recognition. The certification is recognized in more than 150 countries across the globe. You bridge the skill gap which you learn as a student and what the industry requires. So you bridge that skill gap by doing a certification like this. You reach the global levels of skills and education required to become a wealth manager. You get certification directly from AFM USA, and you have access to a global alumni network of more than 3 lakh certificates in 150 countries.
Oh, that's great.
That is one certification which AFM offers. We have many other certifications which we offer. So, and these are the certifications. So apart from the wealth management certification, we have a certification in financial analysis which is called accredited financial analyst. We have a certification in economics which is called chartered economist. We have a certification in portfolio management which is called chartered portfolio manager. We have a certification in trust and estate planning which is called CTEP. We have got a certification in real estate which is called CREP or chartered real estate professional. And we have an initial short-term course which is called certified personal financial specialist. We have other short-term courses also, but these are the major courses which we offer.
Okay, that's a wonderful, sir. And sir, why do you think that one should opt for a AFM certification? What is your view about it, and why one should go for the certification? What is your view on that?
So moment you do a certification, to an employer or a likely employer is that you are committed to that particular field of study. That's the biggest benefit of doing a certification. Second, you bridge the knowledge gap. There is, even though if you are practicing or you are a student, there is certain gaps in the knowledge which become big problems when you actually start working. So the way these certifications have been structured, they bridge those gaps which you have, or your skills, wherever your skills are deficient, those gaps are bridged. Third, you are able to portray your proficiency in a particular subject or particular field by the designation you get. And lastly, you are able to update your knowledge continuously after you join a certification, because there are continuous professional education requirements of a certification. So those are the reasons why you should opt for a certification.
Okay, that's great. Sir, as you know that, there are a lot of regulatory requirement today as far as the Indian financial advisory is concerned. So in which of the AFM certification that regulatory has been approved by, the certification has been approved by regulatory?
So we have a certification, as we discussed, Chartered Wealth Manager, which is approved under the SEBI Registered Investment Advisor Regulation 2013 by National Institute of Security Markets. So today, if you want to give financial advice and want to charge money for that financial advice which you are giving to any client, you need to be registered with SEBI as a registered investment advisor. Now, to register yourself as a registered investment advisor with SEBI, there are certain educational requirements to be fulfilled. One of the qualification is Chartered Wealth Manager. If you complete Chartered Wealth Manager, you need not do any other requirement regarding education to be completed by.
Okay. So that's great, sir. Sir, one of our viewers has asked one question that, as you are telling that Chartered Wealth Manager is one of the certification which has been approved by regulatory. So the question is, how CWM certification can help one to get into wealth management and private banking? And what is the difference between wealth management and private banking?
Okay, so first I'll ask the second part of the question. What's the difference between wealth management and private banking? See, in wealth management, there are various strata of clients, right? Private banking clients are at the higher strata of investable surplus which they have to be managed by the wealth advisor. So suppose I say more than 50 crores of assets you are managing, then you become a private banker. So the job is nearly the same, but they have differentiated it on the basis of amount of money which you are managing for a client. And this 50 crore is not even for all the industry. So the industry is still debating what needs to constitute a private banking client and what needs to constitute a wealth management client. And it varies from company to company and country to country. Now, could you repeat the first part of the question? Aman?
Okay. Yeah. The first part of question was, how CWM certification can help one to get into wealth management and private banking?
I get it. So basically, to get into wealth management, what do you require? One, you require skills which are hard to find. That's the uniqueness you can carry. And I just told you what is wealth management. So if you have wealth enhancement skills, advice capability, you have wealth protection advisory capability, and you have wealth transfer advisory capability, you are a person who is highly desired by the wealth management and private banking industry. But these are skills which are rare to find. Enhancement skills still you can find, but protection and transfer skills are rare to find in India even today. Second, you have regulatory approval to be listed with SEBI as a RIA advisor after you do the CWM program. Third, you have a designation which you can showcase to your client which boasts about your skill. So CWM is a designation which you add to your name. So like my name is Deepak Jain, it becomes Deepak Jain CWM or Deepak Jain Chartered Wealth Manager from AFM USA. So these are the reasons why entering into wealth management becomes easier for you.
Okay. Okay, that's fantastic, sir. Sir, now can you just highlight that, we are just confused between what is the difference between financial advisor and wealth manager? If you can just throw some light on it.
So basically I said there are various levels of client, right? The level of client at a financial advisor level might be a lower middle class level. One. Second, a financial advisor usually is giving advice only on wealth enhancement, and that too with basic products in personal finance, like maybe mutual funds, maybe insurance. They don't use those exotic or new age products to do the personal financial management of a client. But in wealth management, we deal with all kinds of products, be it structured products, be it hedge funds, be it offshore financial instruments. All of that is covered in wealth management. So financial advisory is at a lower level. The basic job is the same, but moment you start dealing with a certain class of clients, their requirement changes. So as a wealth manager, one, I am dealing with lesser number of clients, but these are high value clients whose requirements are very customized, whose needs are very unique, and I am able to service their unique needs in wealth management. And this requirement becomes even more pronounced when I go to private banking.
Okay. That's great, sir. Sir, one of the viewer is asking one question, and I think this is a fantastic one. If you can just throw light on this, is wealth management having good career prospects? And if yes, can you please explain the career path for it?
Career path. So career path can start at two places. One, you can be an independent wealth advisor, right? So you can start this business on your own. You have the entrepreneurship capability after entering into this field. That's one way. Second, if you ask me career as in jobs, then you might start as a relationship manager. You can go up to private banker, and after a certain point of time, you become into the man management role where several private bankers are working under you. The private banking and wealth management industry, as per recent studies, it has been shown that they are more paid than an investment banker in India. Because and second, this career in private banking and wealth management has more openings than investment banking. The progression is fast as compared to investment banking or research jobs. If you compare that, because the number of openings in investment banking, in research, in fund management is limited. In private banking and wealth management, the number of openings is higher as compared to these other professions. And so one, you are able to enter it more easily than entering into those fields. Second, your career progression is faster. And you are highly paid because you bring in revenue to the companies.
Okay. Sir, now this is a very wonderful question which is asked by one of the participants. So he want to ask, only commerce students can pursue wealth management? Is there any scope for engineers, art students or science students who can go for it?
So I can give my example. I am a graduate in biology, zoology and chemistry.
Oh, that's wonderful, sir.
Right. So, and I have been into this field for last now maybe 20 years. So science students do very well in wealth advisory. And there's a reason for it. Or an engineering student does very well in wealth advisory. See, wealth advisory is about two things. One is people skills, and second is you should be good with numbers. Now, science students, especially the mathematical background students, the engineering students, they are good with numbers. And that is the reason why you find many top financial professionals actually being engineers or science professionals. Right? So this field is not restricted to a commerce student It can be held by any person who has the passion for numbers and people. There's are two things which you are required.
Okay, that's great. Sir, now one more question I would like to ask you over here. Is there any pre-skills which are required to pursue this wealth management as a career? That, you know, before going for a wealth management career, you should have some kind of skills they decided.
So, if your question is what skills you require to become a chartered wealth manager,
Yes.
we start the program assuming that you know nothing. So we start with the base and we take you up till the advanced level. So CWM has two levels, level 1 and level 2. Level 1 starts from the base, and level 2 are cutting edge skills which are difficult to find. And the progression is such that you learn as you practice. So the program is structured in a way so that you are able to learn and implement that on virtual clients as you progress through the program. So there is no basic requirement of any skills to join the chartered wealth management program.
That's great. Sir, can you just throw some light on the what kind of curriculum is there in Chartered Wealth Manager?
So chartered wealth management curriculum, as I told you, would cover three aspects of wealth management. It would cover wealth enhancement aspects, which is basically investment planning, which is about portfolio management, which is about equity analysis, which is about goal planning and those kind of structure. Then we talk about wealth protection strategies, which is basically estate planning, which is an integral part of chartered wealth management. We talk about wealth protection strategies. It is an integral part of chartered wealth manager certification. Apart from this, we give you a basic understanding of the financial economics. So as a wealth manager, you are required, and my requirement as a wealth manager is very limited in this regards. My requirement is that if I read a news in the newspaper which is talking about economics, I should be able to relate the effect of that news to my client's investments. And I should be able to tell my client what effect this news would have on their investment. So that part of financial economics is covered in the program. We cover both onshore and offshore wealth management. So onshore wealth management is managing an Indian's wealth in India, and offshore wealth management is managing an Indian's wealth outside India. So both that part is covered in the chartered wealth management program. Apart from this, we also have skills related to behavioral finance, offshore trust, tax planning, international tax planning. So there are in total 20 modules divided into these two levels. This is what you will be studying.
Okay, that's great, sir. And we would like to welcome Sabyasachi, sir, for this discussion. I think there is some technical issue, and I hope, sir, you are able to hear us, right?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah,
It's clear, Aman. Very good evening to everyone.
Yeah. So, so I would like to still ask Deepak sir one question, and then we'll get back to Sabyasachi sir on that. Sir, one of the participant is asking, do we need to have a knowledge of MS Excel and PowerPoint before entering into such courses, or no? Because they are, they're confused on that.
So MS of Excel, if you talk, that is already part of the program. So no pre-skill is required. Apart from Excel, we also help you do those financial calculations on a financial calculator, which is easier to carry and showcase to a client. Right? Okay. PowerPoint, I don't think so you require.
Sir, now one of our participant is asking, and I think this question is valid also. If you can answer it, will be really great. Does visually impaired students has any scope in wealth management career? What is your view on that?
Very hard to answer. I have not come across a visually impaired person doing wealth advisory. Maybe Sabya can come into this if he knows about that.
Sabya sir, you have any answer for that?
I think till now I have not seen someone. Mostly visually impaired persons are generally they do on the back end stuff, but I have myself personally not come across someone with that kind of impediment in the
Okay.
industry.
Okay, that's good. So now my next question is to Sabir sir. Sabir sir, as you see that the COVID has been strike down in India, and across the globe, and as you are a experienced player in the wealth management and investment management industry, where do you see the future of wealth management industry 5 years down the line?
5 years down the line. So Aman, I'll take 2-3 minutes to give you a backdrop of the entire scenario today. It's unprecedented time today. It's a financial crisis, it's an economic crisis, and it's a health crisis, right? So the entire industry and the global economy is going through these tough times. Things which we have not seen today is something we are visualizing sitting at home, unable to do anything. So the social distancing norm has actually, I will say, closed down a part of the industry to a great extent. Manufacturing and things have stopped for last 1.5 months. But if you look into the entire scenario today, the prompt action by the central banks as well as the government in the monetary and the fiscal support that they have lent to the entire economies is something that is really we should be grateful of. So this will actually going ahead will give support to some of the dwindling sectors, and we can see these sectors, though maybe for coming 2 quarters may see some kind of lackluster performance, but going ahead things will start stabilizing. So the good scenario today we can expect is something that maybe medical solutions will come, maybe with time herd immunity will start taking up, and we will see favorable situation 6 months down the line. So that is the scenario today. On the other hand, if you look into the wealth management industry as a whole, I'll give you a backdrop. So India as a country, if you look into it, it has got very rising income level, driving demand for financial services across the income brackets. And if you see by our honorable Prime Minister, some kind of things like your financial inclusion drives like the Jan Dhan Yojana, then going towards the digitalization of money, the payment structure, everything has actually led to a growing demand for most of the financial services today. Otherwise, low penetration in case of the financial service, be it insurance, be it mutual fund, actually put us in a position where we have got a very large field to play on, and this thing is going to come up in a big way. If you look into the general structure, total wealth held by India, this has been a Karvy Wealth report that we issue every year. So that shows that the total wealth by individuals held in India has grown by 9.62%, approximately 9.62% to 430 lakh crores. Now this we project in a time like in a 2025, this will double from here. So there is a high chance that and a probability the wealth will grow, and we will see mostly that physical assets like gold and real estate, people will start moving from there and come into the financial asset category. So in all, if I look into it, a broad spectrum of opportunity for the wealth management industry as well as the financial industry is there in the coming 5 years. Now, how to go ahead and take advantages of this? So this has put, I will say, the digital part to a great importance. If you look into it, many of the wealth management firms and financial services firms have adapted to the current situations. Things are being provided online. And if you see the thing that we ourselves are on a Zoom call on a Sunday evening, comfortably reaching out to more than 100 plus participants, and so this kind of technological advancement will actually smoothen out any of the negative effect of the COVID-19 situations, and any kind of hand holding for the clients or customer will be done mostly on a digital way and in a seamless manner. So I feel the prospect, keeping the economic background and the demographic advantage of India, 2025 we may see all our wealth grow by almost a double from this current situation. And COVID-19 is only a temporary, I will say, hurdle, which with time will go away, and we will see brighter times.
Okay. Again, really thank you, Sabyasachi sir, for the same. Again, my question to you only, sir. As I can see, with your profile, you are a head of research and international products and mutual fund and investment advisory with Karvy Private Wealth. How can you, if you can just explain us how this chartered wealth manager degree or as a certification can really help students in their journey to pathway, and how this can really help them to achieve their roadmap in the wealth management industry, because and how it has actually helped you also to achieve this great heights. If you can just throw light on that.
Correct. So I will put a different perspective to the entire question. A piece of certificate is only a paper, unless you have done some work with that particular knowledge and implemented it. Not exactly you have to get into a job. You can write a blog, you can write your post in LinkedIn, you can do a YouTube video explaining a concept, a portfolio. I will say a portfolio of work is more important than a certificate. But at the end, we should not forget that unless we have a certificate, unless we have the basic knowledge, it is very hard to go ahead and implement it. So I will say CWM is a very concise and to the point course which covers the entire gamut of wealth management industry. So that effectively helped me to brush up on the entire I will say entire theoretical topics, plus the implementation parts that are included there in the course was of, I will say, of pretty much of help. And also the organization helped me connect with some of the industry leaders as a whole during my earlier days, where I was able to, because of the certification, get into their club and also had access to this kind of the professionals, which definitely helped me to, I will say, get ahead in my career and shape it up in a very I will say in a stronger manner. So this was, I think I was a right decision to do it at that particular point of time. So a lot of advantages of practical utility, as well as, I will say, networking, which was helped by the organization.
Okay, thank you, Sabya sir. Now I will move to Deepak sir to ask one question. Sir, one of the participants is asking us, is English speaking mandatory in the wealth management industry? So what is your view on that?
So next, growth in wealth management industry is coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, where local languages people are preferred over English speaking people. So it's not necessary to know English to enter into wealth management industry. I think Sabya would have something similar to share on that.
So as you are aware, we generally look into a lot of data. So the correctly pointed out, growing complexity of client demand is something that is there, and second is the growing population of HNIs in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. If I look into it, the tier 2 and tier 3 cities obviously has started taking a, I will say, making inroad for the wealth management industry as a whole. Now, speaking English, so we are conducting this session today in English, right? China, if you take a perspective, they have actually launched programs for their people to make it mandatory to learn English. Now, English is something that is popular across the world, though there are prominent languages like Mandarin, Hindi. So I will say language never deters you from learning something. Right? So language in the wealth management industry, obviously, if your communication of the idea is there, language is no bar. So you have to understand how do you communicate your idea to the client in front is of more important than a smooth and polished, I will say, language as a whole. So that can be through any medium, but obviously, if you look into it, English definitely is something that is preferred by the entire world today. Somewhat, not exactly, I will say, the particular choice, but communication is more important. How do you communicate
Right.
your idea to the client in front?
Okay.
That may be in any language.
Okay.
So it's
okay.
not a bar.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So my next question is again to Deepak sir. Deepak sir, as you have answered the previous question about the English language and tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So what role AFM has played to prepare about the study material, training and mock paper regarding the Chartered Wealth Manager? Do we have any facility regarding the same? Suppose if student is enrolling for Chartered Wealth Manager, so what
Mhm.
kind of material he get, and what
So
what
we
are
have a system which is called US ACER, which is our e-learning system, and it stands for US Assessment of CWM Exam Readiness. So it's basically a system which is a e-learning system, our own LMS, which has the entire material online. It includes the text, the PowerPoint presentation and videos inbuilt into the system. There is a certain way to do the course that is also told by the system. So one, you have an online material available. Some people, like my generation people, they still prefer to read physical books rather than online. So we also have an option of physical books being delivered to you. The entire study material is made by AFM India.
okay? That's great.
And apart from this, we conduct live webinars as classes for these programs, which
Okay.
some of which are free to all participants, some you can buy and attend.
Okay. That's great, sir. Sir, now this is very fantastic question asked by one of the participants. Sir, what is the difference between certificate and chartered? So they are just confused. When you say chartered, what difference it has from the certificate?
So chartered, you belong to a particular community, and an organization of a certain standard is allowed to issue a chartered designation, right? So like chartered accountant, so it's an organization which is of a certain standard, which is able to issue a certificate of that level. So that's a difference in level. Certificate is at a lower level, chartered is at a higher level. One. Second, the designation is more pronounced if it is a chartered. Then it's a certificate.
Okay, that's great, sir. Sir, now they are asking, one of the viewer is asking, can you please name some companies where the hiring of Chartered Wealth Manager certification or wealth management certification has been done up till now?
It's a very difficult question to answer because there are so many wealth management organizations. But I would say that wealth management organizations like IFL, Carvi, and other such organizations, they could be banking organizations, State Bank of India, ICICI Wealth Management Divisions. So wealth management divisions are very common in most banks. Right?
Okay.
Recently, even public sector banks have been coming out with wealth management divisions. SBI has already come out. We know of Union Bank or somebody also trying, Bank of Baroda trying to launch a wealth management division. Third kind of companies which hire CWMs are the AMCs, right? These asset management companies, the mutual fund companies.
Okay.
We have also seen some participants going to insurance companies also. You also have an option to do your own business as a wealth advisor, right? So whatever organizations are there, you will have CWMs working in this. Globally, the top 500 financial organizations in the world have a CWM certificate working for them.
Okay. Sir, now this question has come from one of the participants. Now he want to ask, like when you do a chartered accountancy or any of these courses, you need to mandatory go for the 3 years of articleship. But when you want to become a holder of Chartered Wealth Manager with AFM USA, so is there any work experience criteria which he need to undergo? And related to the same question, he wanted to ask, where he should go for an internship, whether he should prefer a small firm or he should join some big firm. So if you can just throw on that both the questions, light on the questions.
Okay, so first answering your first part, which was regarding where should you do your internship. So you should do your internship depending on what you want to learn. Do you want to showcase this internship or do you want to have a hands-on experience? I would prefer having hands-on experience over showcasing this internship. And usually I have seen that the opportunity you get in a smaller organization is higher on hands-on learning than in a bigger organization. But there could be exceptions to this. It's not a hard fast rule that this occurs every time, but usually seen it is there. Uh, in a bigger company, if you do internship, you are more likely to know the processes and way of working. From the outside, maybe you don't get so much hands-on experience.
Okay. So adding to this question, I would like to add Sabyasachi sir over here. Sir, can you throw some light about the artificial intelligence coming into the industry and taking over as a wealth management? So do you think there is any, what do you say, constraint or threat to the wealth managers that, AI will come into picture and the robo advisory will come and the role of wealth manager will be declining? What do you think on that?
Okay, 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 Aman, that's something a very contemporary question, a very debatable question. So my take on it is very simple. Yeah, if you look into it, the wealth management industry has a multifunctional role. So it can have a 60 to 70% comprising of wealth managers, remaining with product specialists, backend and backend team, as well as the advisory team. Now, with the development of the AI, with the development of the robo advisory coming into play, if you see one thing, obviously there are certain advantages to it. You can actually utilize this kind of AI as a whole to provide customized investment solutions and also improve the user experience. And also, if you look into it from the wealth management the firm perspective, you can have more conversion and have a lot of more customer loyalty. Now, this question is very simple. There are more positives for the AI coming to the wealth management industry and giving this age rather than taking away the job of the wealth manager or the industry as a whole. Since if you look into it, when the computer was first invented, everyone thought that people will be out of work pretty soon. But actually, it provided more job. So the same way, this cost reduction, customized solution, improving the customer conversions, as well as increasing the customer loyalty will be the positive effect. Yes, there will be higher competition among the players because of this kind of mechanization, but that won't steal away the jobs of the wealth manager. It is always dependent on people how they evolve themselves. So a person, the only thing I can think of right now is sharpen your axe. If you sharpen your axe, then what happens? You get more certification, more designations, and you move ahead in your thing. No kind of AI can steal your job in that respect.
Okay, that's great, sir.
And
Sir,
I
now,
just add one more point, Aman, in this,
yeah,
that understand wealth management does not deal with a very small amount of money. It deals with a large chunk of the personal wealth of the individual. In that case, every individual or every investor that I have met in my career, everyone want some kind of customized and personalized solution. So they, instead of depending on a machine elbow, they will prefer some kind of humanitarian touch and some kind of human advice along with that kind of efficiency.
okay, that's great. So, Sabyasachi sir, I would like to ask you one more question, which has been asked by participant. Is there any chance of getting the global job or job abroad when you are into wealth management? Is there any chance like that?
See, it's always like it's a people of so I will say it in a way different. I will take it. So the taxation is the only difference. Otherwise, like science, the basics of wealth management doesn't change across the world, right? Every country will have their own laws. That's the only difference. So it depends on how a person wants to develop himself and what he wants to target. So I have seen most of my peer group maybe working in Singapore, maybe working in Tokyo, maybe working in Dubai. They are all there with this kind of certifications and this with the same skill sets. So it's a personal choice where they want to go.
Okay, that's great. This question is to Deepak sir. Deepak sir, can you tell us where are the maximum hiring being done when you consider the chartered wealth manager as far as the certificate is concerned, as far as the cities are concerned in India? So where you see that most of the hirings are being taken care of, where you think?
So most hiring today is done by banks when you talk about chartered wealth manager or the wealth manager designations.
Okay.
Because banks have a very wide canvas. The number requirement is big, huge in case of banks. So most hiring today in wealth management is being done by banks, what I see. The other wealth management independent advisory companies, they would be the second choice after banks, who would be hiring wealth managers today.
Okay. That's great, sir. Now, sir, one more question. Is AFM certification helpful to get into investment banking domain? What is your view on that?
So we have two certifications which basically help you enter into the investment banking domain. One is called the Accredited Financial Analyst, which is AFA, and second is the Chartered Portfolio Manager. Right?
Okay.
The difference between the two is that AFA is purely on financial analysis, and Chartered Portfolio Manager is a combination of front end and back end research and front end both.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Sir, we have also seen that, you have one more certification called as Chartered Trust and Estate Planning, which is launched by AFM. Again, it's a US-based certification. So can you throw some light on estate planning as a career and estate planning as a domain, and how does CTP is adding value to it? If you can just
So,
highlight on.
as I just told you, there is something called wealth transfer advice. That wealth transfer advice is basically how to help your clients pass on this wealth to the next generation, or intergenerational wealth transfer, which is also called as estate planning. Now, Chartered Trust and Estate Planning is a designation which majorly deals in estate planning only, which includes estate planning products such as wills, trust, letter of guardianship, financial durable power attorney, and things like that, which includes succession planning, including business succession planning, which includes trusts and their uses to transfer and control wealth. Right? It also deals with various kinds of client requirements regarding estate and transfer planning. The estate planning completely as a part of wealth advisory. It's a very niche area, and this certification allows you to master that niche area in wealth advisory.
Okay. So now this question is asked by one of the viewer, and I think this question is already creating a wave, and a lot of people have confusion, or I would say they want to understand this. What is the difference between certification called as CFP and CWM, like Certified Financial Planning and Chartered Wealth Manager?
So to understand the difference between CFP and CWM, you need to understand the difference between wealth management and financial planning. Wealth management is a wider reach or wider coverage of issues than financial planning. So financial planning is basically dealing with that investment consulting part, or at max the wealth enhancement part. They are not so much concerned or do not have skills to advise on wealth protection and wealth transfer. Secondly, when I talk about CFP versus CWM, although both are very good certification, you need to understand what level of clients do you want to service. Do you want to service clients at a lower level or at a higher level? If you want those skills at higher level, maybe CWM is better suited because those requirements are fulfilled by that designation. CWM has both onshore and offshore wealth management skill inbuilt into it. As Sabya told, you need to know the taxation structures of various major markets. You need to know the products offered in different markets and the legal requirements of working in different markets. We in Chartered Wealth Management cover all that part, which maybe you as in CFP is not covered, or even if it is covered, it's covered in a very shallow manner. Another thing is that we cover all asset classes, including structured products, alternate investments, real estate as an investment option, and other such hedge funds, etc., which might not be covered in such detail in a certified financial planner designation.
Okay, that's great, sir. I was just looking in your syllabus and just going through it. So I have seen that, you know, in level 1 you have Indian taxation and level 2 you have international taxation. So
Right.
can you just highlight what kind of international taxation subject a student will be able to go through, and you know how does it will really help him apart from learning the direct tax in the level 1 part?
So as we said that my client's wealth today is not restricted to being in India. I have clients whose wealth would be outside India. And I have two options when I have a client like this. I either ask my client that your outside wealth advice I can't give you, you hire somebody else to give you outside advice, or I have the capability of giving advice myself. What is better? Obviously, if you are able to give advice yourself, it is better because you become the one point solution for all his wealth needs. Now, the international taxation part of Chartered Wealth Management Program allows you to understand the tax structures in major markets where people usually invest. That includes UK, US, Singapore, and UAE. These are markets which usually people would go when they are talking about going offshore. So we are including the tax structures, we are including the major product offerings in these countries. We are also including the taxation aspects of an Indian investing in these countries. So that is the part which is international taxation or offshore wealth management, which we are covering in Chartered Wealth Management designation.
Okay, so sir, do you mean to say that a person who is pursuing chartered wealth manager, or if he clears chartered wealth manager, he can also be, you know, practice as a tax consultant or international tax practitioner?
So I am only saying that he will be able to advise his clients on the tax implication of his investments.
Okay, that's great. Now my question is to Sabyasachi sir. Sir, post COVID-19, what opportunity you will see which will be available in financial service sector? What do you think?
So I'll say first, I'll take maybe 2 to 3 minutes for this. So what you have seen today is that there, due to the crisis that I mentioned, financial crisis, economic crisis, as well as health crisis, all punched together has been what we have seen today as a unprecedented event, right? So all this has given to a rise of market volatility and the capital depletion for most of the investors and the wealthy individual. What we see is that there will be a lot of regulatory, I will say, that providing new guidelines, coming up with some relief packages. So some kind of easy strings will be there from the regulatory part, which will definitely not affect the investment industry, but will help the industry to tide over this kind of crisis. On the other hand, we see that a lot of people will start coming to the wealth managers, to the planners, to understand that how they can improve their position. That is, if there is some kind of credit and liquidity crisis, how they can counter that. And also this has given opportunity. The market, if you look into it, the risky asset class part, particularly the equity, has almost at a very attractive level. So some kind of investment opportunities will they look forward to. So what should be that investment opportunity be like? So people will come to for that. So, and if you look into it, that the third party service providers as a whole will go for the best execution platforms, easy online access with a lot of security inbuilt. So this will be something that the wealth management industry will be looking forward to. So all in all, this has changed the, I will say, the entire paradigm, how the industry looks into managing wealth. So mostly maintaining social distancing, firms will try to reach to customers, provide easy solutions, while the support from the government in the front, in the form of easy liquidity will be there, and the regulators will be also supportive enough. So all in all, things will start looking better maybe 3 months down the line.
Okay. Now, last two questions. So, first question, again, I would like to ask only Sabyasachi sir about this. Sir, student wants to know and participant would like to know, okay, what are the 3 skills which you suggest that every wealth manager should possess? What do you think? What are the three skills?
Come again, please. What are the
Three skills which an individual should have to become a wealth manager, according to you.
Okay, the first skill I feel is the communication skill. That is very important, how you communicate your idea. Second, I feel is the networking. And third, I feel is a proper recognized certification. If these three are combined together, you will be definitely a good wealth manager. Now, how to develop it? Obviously, communication skill requires a lot of practice. Communicating ideas in a simple manner is something that everyone looks forward to. What will help you in getting the certification and networking? The certification, like as I told you for CWM, it helps you in networking. It gives you permission for to attend a different number of events. They do online seminars, so that will be something very important. Use LinkedIn platforms also. Connect with people, write your own blog. So as a whole, you may improve every day 1%, but at the end of the 1 year or 100 days, you will see that a lot of improvement has come in. So try for a good certification, utilize that particular skill, and do networking. Is that what I can say?
Thanks a lot, Sabyasachi sir. I think this peaceful advice which you have given to us and participants will really help them to develop their networking skills as well as communication skills. Now, my last question for the day would be to Deepak sir. Sir, my question is there any activities, is there any activities performed by you for members or students to keep themselves, you people are doing or as a AFM board is trying to do to keep people engaged in the, some kind of where they can come and, they can get engaged themselves in different kind of activities or webinars or something like that in this lockdown, and what AFM has done especially in this lockdown? I think this is the question which we need to ask.
So we have a club which is called the AFM Club, where students and professionals can join, where we help them, one, to network, two, to get cutting edge industry knowledge and skills through regular webinars. They get other benefits of enhancing their skills, keeping them up to date. Also, you get some benefits of pursuing some sorts of short-term certifications in being a member, which are only offered to only members of AFM Club. Apart from this, you get pricing benefits in pursuing these certifications, which we have just displayed. So AFM Club is the way. If you want to be connected with AFM, you need to become a member of AFM Club.